I've had one of those mornings where everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. And I was just like, oh, could this day get any worse? Over in the corner I could hear a whisper, challenge accepted. Good morning everyone, welcome to Eternally Awkward. I'm Penny and today we're going to be doing concealer for beginners. I'm going to take you through the different ways you can apply concealer, the different types of concealer and how to set concealer. One thing I forgot to mention in the video is that I do not bring foundation up to under my eyes or over my eyelids if I'm going to be applying concealer there, because I only want one layer of product, because the more layers of product you add to your skin, the heavier the makeup's going to look. So any areas that you're going to be applying concealer as a highlight or eyelid primer, avoid placing foundation there. So without further ado, let's just get into it. Okay, so now that we've got our foundation on, the next step is to put a concealer on. Now concealer needs to happen before we go in with any kind of powder, because powder on top of cream and then trying to add a cream product back on top of powder, it's going to congeal, separate and just end up not sitting very nicely on the skin, often looking cakey, dry or muddy. You can either go in with a liquid or a cream concealer. Your preference for concealer will depend on what kind of coverage that you want, and there are two different purposes for concealer. One is to highlight, brighten under the eyes. A lot of people also add it along the bridge of the nose, forehead and chin. Personally, I tend to just keep it under the eyes and maybe around my smile lines. And the other purpose is to add extra coverage to other areas that your BB cream or foundation haven't covered to your satisfaction. So first step I'm going to do is go in and highlight under my eyes and show you the results of that. Now there's two different ways that you can highlight under your eyes. You can go in with a super bright concealer and add an extreme highlight. Now when you add concealer, you want to add it in a triangle shape under the eye, because if you add a concealer just around the eye, it's going to bring attention to the darkness and bags under your eyes, whereas you bring it in a triangle, it's going to brighten and lift that entire area. So you can either go in with something this bright. I like to go in with something that is only 1 to 2 shades lighter than the foundation colour that I'm wearing. Like that. I'm going to have to take this off, aren't I? So you can go in, blend it out with a sponge, or you can take your finger. If you're going to blend it out with your finger, use your ring finger, as it is the most, I guess, gentle finger that you have, and it's going to be the most kind to your under eye area as you blend everything out. You can take a brush and blend it out if you want, but I find it tends not to sit that great on the skin. I definitely prefer just to brighten the under eye area slightly. Now another great purpose for concealer is to prime your eyelids ready for eyeshadow, so I'm going to go in and show you how to do that. And now for priming my eyelids, I do like to use something quite light, because I find that the pigments of the eyeshadow show up best on a lighter concealer on your eyelids. For this one I'm just going to take a concealer brush and go in and spread that out over the eyelid. If you get in nice and close under the brow, it's going to really lift the brow and create a nice clean shape when you go in and either fill them in or go through with a bit of brow gel or hairspray, whatever you like to put them in place with. So after I've spread it out with my concealer brush, I like to go in with my sponge again to really get that to become one with the skin. So after you've blended out your concealer, you need to go in and set it with a powder to prevent it from creasing. Now I like to use the CoverGirl Advanced Radiance powder. Looks like that. You can also use a loose powder like your face powder, or e.l.f. has a really nice brightening under eye setting powder, and just pop that under the eye. I like to apply powder under the eye with a sponge. I'm a big fan of sponges for making makeup look one with the skin. So there we have the two different sides set with two different powders. And of course the other thing you can do is areas that you don't have enough coverage. So I've got some freckles here that I guess might be displeasing to some people. Personally, I don't mind my freckles. I know I don't have too many things on my face that I necessarily feel the need to cover up after I've applied a foundation or BB cream, but for something to add extra coverage, it is better to use a concealer that is exactly the same shade as your foundation. Now if you don't have something like that, a wee trick that I like to do is squeeze out a little bit of my concealer and a little bit of my foundation. Just take a little bit of each, mix them together, and then go in and apply that, and that's going to blend much better with your foundation shade versus just going in with a concealer that is lighter than your skin type. And then you want to set your entire face down like we did in last week's video for foundation. So that's all for this week. I'll be back next week with bronzer for beginners. I hope you found this helpful. Please subscribe to my channel and I'll see you in my next video.